All right. Good evening, folks. It is the 7th of March in the year of our Lord 2023. Folks, these guys have been playing such a rough game with us that I'm fed up with it and I'm tired. I knew that we would outdistance them and outrun them on social media. It was just a matter of time and fortitude. And we have outrun them. They cannot stop us. They cannot stop our messages. They cannot stop our discovering the truth. I just watched a channel called American Intelligence. Mike McKibben and Douglas Gabriel, and they covered an utterance by Nathan Rothschild, which was made public last fall. So it's not really new news. It's actually kind of old. And these fellows actually were able to distill it down quite nicely. And they had the history of the Pilgrim Society, which more than 100 years ago started with a bunch of traitorous Americans. And we still have traitors from one end to the other end. So, elect me your president, and I'll make sure we behead the son of a bitches. I don't care if Trump has to stand trial and his life is on the line. I don't care who it is that is between us and our liberty. They need to go down. They need to be revealed. They ran Trump, and they're running DeSantis. They're trying. The way I see it is we need to reduce Trump to an emotional heap and let him know, you either turn to Yahweh, buddy, and get on your knees and pray for some guidance, or we're going to take you to task. I'm tired of this stuff that's going on here. I really am tired of it. How about you? I mean, I'm not getting any younger. I want to see my nation restored. I want to see a republic again. There's never been a republic in my lifetime or your lifetime. I can guarantee it. I can point out so many places in which our republic has been destroyed, and I can point out the culprits behind it the whole time. The British Crown. Prince Charles, that jackass over there of German descent, who pretends he's actually in the line of David. Somebody in that family took that throne over a long time ago, and they're not from the line of David. The real king of Britain lives in Australia. He's a sheep rancher. He's older than I am. Seems like a fine gentleman. If you Brits would draft him as your king, I'm certain he would rule to your heart's content. He would restore your nation. But as it stands, we've got the evil ones running around, and I don't care what name you want to call them. We've got the evil ones in the United States, the evil ones over in Great Britain, and around the world, and in the Ukraine. And right now, Putin is the nicest, the greatest guy of all the leaders of the world today. I still think he's a British agent. But I also think he's got a streak of independence in him that probably has caused him to break off. But you need to realize that all these people that you've been electing and selecting, you haven't been. It's been the Rothschild clan the whole time, bringing up whoever they want. Their name was Bauer. They had some other names as well. They changed their names and their titles. They make sure to make it difficult for you to understand who was in charge and which one you're dealing with. They do that on purpose. The Ukraine needs to go down. If we fail and we get suckered into this war, it's America that gets destroyed. That's right. That's what the outcome is going to be here. No other outcome than America being destroyed. You can take that to the bank. You'll probably take it to your graves. Here's the problem. The British have infiltrated us for a long time and been running us. Anybody who's accepted any title of nobility in this country needs to be brought to trial for treason. The original 13th Amendment must be restored, stripping all members of the Bar Association of any and all citizenship in these several states. The 17th Amendment must come down so that the state governments are once again represented. You don't have a republic without the state governments being represented. And the way it works is the states elect people to their legislature's office. And then the state legislators get together and they argue it out among themselves. And they choose two to represent their state government. This thing's dimming off on me and I don't know why. Oh, I'm getting older, some vision questions, so it scares me when things like that go on. I want to check and make sure. You need to understand we've all been fooled, we have all been played. The stupidest of all have been the Democrats, and the Republicans aren't very far behind. We've all been played. Most of these jackasses in D.C. are traitors. Most of them know the truth, but they're making too much money living the lie for us, selling us the lie that we are a free people and we are a republic and you're the latest and the greatest on earth when you're not. You've become a third world nation. Oh, to use Trump's words, you've become a shithole. All of your state governments are corporate governments. They're not proper organic governments. That needs to change as fast as possible. So, if I was president, I'd send all these people that are in the legislative branch packing. And I would tell the states, you create a proper organic government and then select two of your state legislators, select two from among your states, to represent you in Washington, D.C. And as far as Congress goes, it's a volunteer position. Jesus likes volunteers. So does Uncle Sam. So did our founding fathers. And so we're not going to pay them a damn thing. We're going to withdraw all pay and benefits those people have conned us out of. We're going to tell congressmen, congresswomen, fine. You're elected by your constituents, by that, whatever it is, 775,000, whatever the number is you have to have a congressman. Alaska only gets one. It's not very fair, is it? I didn't like it when we were stuck with the last jackass, and now we have a real dumbass in there. From, of all places, Bethel. You know what Bethel's like? God decided to give the earth an enema. And he chose Bethel. Well, actually, that might be Barrow instead. Some of these environments are pretty harsh to live in. They aren't easy. And they require incredible gyrations of plumbing and physics in order to provide water and sanitation in the villages. We don't have representation anymore. You've got dumbasses that go there that believe in their philosophies to the point where they don't serve the American people, don't represent the American people. They don't give a shit about you or me. They don't care about truth or justice. They aren't Americans. As far as I'm concerned, they're all traitors. And they can all have a swinging time together at a nice party in D.C. If you get my drift. Your whole government's bought off. Chicons or Rothschilds? Doesn't matter to me. If they're bought off by any group like that, they're traitors. They need to be tried. They need to pay the price that traitors pay. The 16th Amendment never was even voted on. How could it have passed if they didn't even vote on it? It didn't pass. It was merely announced by the acting Secretary of the Treasury and one other government official at that time. It was announced in the newspapers, and that's all it took. You see, your newspapers have been ruling you for a long time, and they're kind of getting upset because they're losing their grip on you. Keep up the pressure on social media. They can't keep up with us. They can't keep pace with us. They cannot counteract the truth coming out. They can't stop it anymore. And the Ukraine, my God, if I was president, I would apologize immediately to Mr. Putin. And I would beg him, please present your case. We want to know why it is you're in there. I already think I have a good idea, but I'm not sure about it. And I really want to give Mr. Putin the say. I want to let him have the world stage and let him present his case. Why? Because peace on the earth hangs in the balance. Maybe even life, very life on the earth hangs in the balance. And I would hand him instantly Victoria Nuland. Who else was involved in taking down that Russia-friendly administration? Oh, a previous president. I'd pack his ass up and send him over there too and tell them, you may do with these people as you wish in your legal system, in your justice system. Only when you're done with them, we want them back. That is, provided you haven't executed them. We have had rule by the criminals and the murderers for too long. How many hitmen work for the FBI? J. Edgar Hoover had a group of hitmen working for him. This FBI leader hasn't given up any power. So how many people has he ordered murdered? Let's take them all into custody, protective custody, and let's debrief them. Let's find out who's really an American. And in case you're wondering, that means truth, justice, and the American way. We're going to get to the truth. And if an FBI agent has the truth and does not share it, let him pay the price as well, along with those he's protecting. This country had plenty of wealth, but we got bamboozled. We need to go back to what our founders gave us. No more bills. They used those gradually over time to pull a bunch of frauds on us. And this entire Securities and Exchange Commission is nothing but a bunch of corporate frauds being pulled on people. It is horrible how they rubber stamp deals that never should be made. We shouldn't allow a single corporation to exist inside of our borders, nor should we allow a corporation to do business with anyone inside our borders. You may say, well, you can't do that. You can't live without corporations. What's the purpose of a corporation? It's to shirk responsibility. It's to be irresponsible and not be accountable. It's to protect your assets after you've raped and pillaged and polluted across the land. So if you're going to be a free man, if you're going to be a free woman, you're going to be responsible. You're going to be accountable. You're not going to be able to shield yourselves from liabilities when you've damaged another human being. It's as good as committing a crime against them. It's just a principle. Believe me, if I actually walk into the office of the presidency, I'm going to have a lot of people, brainy people, smarter people than I, figuring things out technically so we can restore the republic. Our founders gave it to us magnificently. And we have allowed ourselves to be subverted. And those people who are enemies of this nation, who have been undermining it, need to be exposed completely and brought to justice and made to pay the full price. I'm tired of it. I really am. We used to have patented land. Do you know what land patents were? Well, I'm not an expert on it, but it came from Great Britain. The King of Britain gave us land grants They were allodial title, and we over here turned those into patented land. And patented land could not be taxed. It could not be attached. If you had a claim against you, whoever it was had to go to court and form a trust to help you work through your debt. He could not take your property from you. We were supposed to all have little pieces of property, our own little plots of land, so we could be independent. It wasn't just the nation being independent, it was the men being independent. And I know you're running around there thinking, well, we have 3 co-equal branches of government. One's going to stop the other one for doing right stuff. No, they aren't co-equal branches of government. If you read the Constitution carefully, you will see where the power lays. And it's supposed to lay with the people in the Congress. However, there is one organization that's not detailed in the Constitution because we were used to it by then. It was part of our fabric of society. Every state had their militias. And there were private militias. And governors usually had militias underneath them. But I'll tell you this. If a branch of government screwed up, the militia stepped in and made sure they did their jobs. That happened in Exeter, New Hampshire, when the legislators were failing to do their duty about something about property ownership. And it was causing the people a lot of distress. And once they went into the legislative session, the militia surrounded the building. One man went inside and made the announcement, "Gentlemen, this is the business this is the business at hand. You have to attend to it. No one leaves. No one leaves. No one comes in. No food or drink in here. You're not allowed to leave the building until you've completed the job." I believe it took them all night. But they got the job done. The militia surrounded them and would not let them out until they did their duty. So, with that in mind, what was the most powerful branch of our government when we started? It was our militia. And they took that away from us. This central federal communist government that the Rothschilds, that the British have been running for centuries at this point. The British have been running this place since probably 1800, certainly 1812, when they waged a war against us that caused us to come up with the 13th Amendment, and we've ratified it, and it is the law of the land. It will be the law of the land again. And all subsequent amendments will be null and void. Why? The 14th and 15th, the South was not represented during those. And I believe the amendment to end slavery was dictated by that president, the first Republican president who destroyed the Republic, Lincoln. It's hard to say how we got manipulated into that war, but we know who did it. We know at this point it was the Jesuits in the South that made that war happen. Yeah. The Jesuits need to be called to task for that. However, I want you to know something. I adhere to a certain principle that a people needs to clean their own ranks. And if they can't or are unwilling to clean their own ranks, they at least need to hand the culprits over to us, and we will take care of it. And if they fail to do that, then we'll step in and take care of it ourselves. I don't want to go off on any tangents. We don't have our freedom. We are a slave system here. The government is way too big. We can cut it down to 20% of what it is and function just fine. Some people say we can cut it down to only 15% and it will work fine. But definitely I would be done with that income tax, that graduated communist instrument. And I would level the playing field completely. No more of this identity politics where you get brownie points because of anything in particular. And if a man or woman really owns their own business, then shouldn't they be the ones to decide who they're going to hire, who they're going to fire? This government has no say-so in those matters. It's the same with property. Gee, in South America, they'll tell you for rent to a North American or a European. It's their property. They can rent it to whoever they want, but not over here. Somebody might be offended. Well, let them be offended. It's your property. You should be able to do with it what you want. But as far as these giant monopolistic utilities that control our communications, they all need to be brought in and processed, charged, tried, and made to pay the ultimate price for their high treason against the people. I look forward to that day. I'll go there and accuse them myself. And if it has to be administered in a very harsh fashion, I've never done it before, but I'll try my best. King Saul was hesitant to kill 5 of the kings that the prophet had told him Yahweh had ordered him to kill. And it was Saul who took the sword, and Saul who did the executions. Man, may I have the strength in my body necessary to do that, if called to do it. And if you wonder how you might be able to get in charge with your inner self, with your connections with the Holy Spirit, it's pretty easy. You read this Bible that I have. Links down below. The cheapest price anywhere. Right there. There's 5 different formats. It's called the proper name version of the King James Bible. It is the King James Bible, which, by the way, is copyrighted everywhere in the world except for the United States of America because of that little Revolutionary War we fought. In order to get this Bible printed, it required negotiation with the representatives for the Queen, which took 5 years. I'm really looking forward to what's coming. But the biggest problem we have is stupid asses who say, let's go fight Russia. We just have to commit to it. We should start bombing Moscow. You frickin' imbeciles out there. Do you know nothing? Yes, I think you know nothing. You've been totally manipulated. You shouldn't even be given the right to vote. You can't put 2 cents together. You can't make sense out of anything. The only way to win this war and win this battle is to step back from it, to not fight it. If you fight it, America will be destroyed. I can assure you that America will be destroyed. Maybe by nukes, maybe by EMP, maybe by a whole bunch of fentanyl poisoning all at one time. We just don't know. But I can guarantee you that your number will be up if you go against Mr. Putin. This may be the only time Mr. Putin is right, for all I know. And he may be wrong in the next conflict. But let's give him a chance to be wrong. Let's all come through this okay. In case you're wondering, Germany wasn't allowed to have their own military after World War II. Their military is as big or bigger than NATO right now. Yeah. Who was it that allowed that to happen? You can't tell me that the King of England didn't know about that. I'll bet he was behind it. You see, those Rothschilds and their people play all sides at the same time equally, and they don't take sides. But right now, Nathan Rothschild has taken sides publicly. We cannot afford to lose Ukraine. Well, the Ukraine's lost. I think we step back and we let Mr. Putin roll right in and do what he wants to do, and we ask him to present his case. He just may have saved the entire planet for us. That's all I got to say, folks. May Yahweh bless. May you figure out which way's up. Because at this point, all the news media is pointing us in a down direction. And they will manipulate the stock market. They manipulate all markets. There are no open and free markets. It's all rigged. So you might as well just step back from it and not play anything for a while. Insist that the Rothschilds and their minions be kicked out of our land. We can do that. And while we're at it, let's just close the borders down in both directions. No one in and no one out until we assess who's here, who the invaders are. And as far as having a border or a wall, we don't need that. Trump was full of crap on that. We just need to make it unlawful to be in the country illegally. And we need to go to war against Mexico for sure, and as fast as possible. That's the one war we ought to be fighting. We should do that in such a way that the rest of the world takes notice. However, our State Department is rife with communists. They've made all the decisions in the last century to promote world communism, and they've never made a mistake in their decisions on that. They never even made one decision that accidentally went our way. Everything they've decided has gone against us. Why is that? Do we need to take the State Department into protective custody as well? And go through that and weed through that? If that's what it takes, let's do it. Well, maybe we should have a party. A very much a nice swinging party. A swinging time. Yep, swing music's nice. West Coast swing is a really nice dance. Of course, that's all I'm talking about, folks. Yeah. Mr. Biffy. May Yahweh bless you. May you sit and read His Word. May you access the mind of Yahweh, Creator, Father. And may you turn in His direction. Thereby He turn in your direction. And bless the steps in your life as you make the right decisions. May He guide you. May He give you provision. May He give you the courage to make the right choice when it's a tough choice. Yahweh bless.